Welcome back, everyone. Tonight, we're diving into the Minnesota Vikings and their recent game. Now, I know the Vikings' 12-7 win over Jacksonville on Sunday got a lot of negative attention. It was far from pretty, that's for sure. But they actually pulled off something rare, a feat we haven't seen in 24 years. They won an NFL game while throwing 3 interceptions and scoring 0 touchdowns. Since 2000, teams have had a record of just 2 wins and 101 losses in games like this. Incredible, right? Watching that game, it was clear that Minnesota was the stronger team, even though they barely managed 12 points and still won after 3 interceptions. Are the Vikings the best team in the league? No, but they weren't expected to be. Despite the critics, whether from fans or NFL media, I've seen comments labeling Minnesota as just average. But think about it. They're sitting at 7-2. If that's average, they're doing pretty well. In fact, they now have a 90% chance to make the playoffs. They've played through the 6th toughest schedule so far, and the remaining games aren't as challenging, ranking only 21st in difficulty. So realistically, the Vikings might finish with 10, 11, or even 12 wins, which means they're headed to the playoffs. Yes, we've seen issues on offense, like Sam Darnold throwing 5 interceptions in his last 2 games. But as we hit the midseason mark, this is a perfect chance for Coach Kevin O'Connell to adjust and bring new ideas to the table. We'll dig into that in just a minute. Before we jump in, please hit that like button and subscribe if you love daily NFL content. Vikings fans, we post a ton of Vikings updates here, so if you want more, check the comments for my dedicated Vikings channel. Let's try to get this video to 250 likes. Now back to Sunday's game. The Vikings defense really shined, racking up 8 tackles for a loss. This defense has been one of the best in the league, and credit goes to Coach Brian Flores. Despite losing some big-name players like Danielle Hunter in the offseason, the team is still finding ways to succeed. So here's the thing. It's not really about wondering what Brian Flores or the Vikings GM is doing, or whether their picks are smart. They've added solid players like Guard, Van Ginkel, and Cashman, and even drafted Al Turner for the long term. These guys are talented, and right now, the Vikings defense is a top 7 unit in the league. On Sunday, that defense was on fire. They made 8 tackles for a loss, hit the quarterback 4 times, and got 3 sacks. M. Jones, the Jaguars quarterback, was constantly under pressure and managed to complete just 6 passes in the second half while also throwing 2 interceptions. And just look at the control the Vikings had over that game. They held onto the ball for 42 minutes, the longest possession time for any team this season. They achieved 28 first downs, one of their highest counts this year, and ran the ball 43 times, which isn't something Coach Kevin O'Connell usually does. Out of their 10 drives, they reached Jaguars territory 8 times and got into the red zone 5 times. Yet somehow, they walked away with just 12 points. Their kicker, John Parker Romo, nailed 4 field goals in his NFL debut, securing that strange win. As for Sam Darnold, the Vikings quarterback, he threw 3 interceptions and against a Jaguars defense that hasn't been great this season. He ended with a rough passer rating of 48.2. At the start of the season, his efficiency per dropback was 11th in the league. Now he's down to 21st. The Vikings' second halves have been a major struggle lately. Let's backtrack a bit. In Week 1, they beat the Giants, and Darnold looked great. He looked strong in Week 2 as well, and by Week 4, the Vikings were 4-0, with Darnold even in the MVP conversation. But people started wondering how long this would last. Now we're seeing cracks. Darnold has 13 turnovers, 10 interceptions, and 3 fumbles in just 9 games, which is more than any other quarterback this season. The only quarterbacks with a worse turnover rate are Mason Rudolph, Jordan Love, Anthony Richardson, and Gardner Minshew. Only 3 teams have more turnovers than the Vikings this season: the Colts, Titans, and Raiders, and those teams have a combined record of just 8-19. So what did the Jaguars do to expose Darnold? We'll get to that. But there's one player who could be a game changer for the Vikings moving forward. TJ Hawkinson. It's no wonder people are concerned about Darnold's performance. There's been a lot of talk about his career path, and I even came across an article just the other day. Before making this video, I was asking myself, what's Sam Darnold's future with the Vikings? But then I thought, shouldn't the rookie quarterback we drafted, the one who unfortunately tore his meniscus and is out for the season, be the real future of this team? Darnold was meant to be a bridge, just filling in for now. Whether he'll keep the starting job long-term is a question for later. If you look back, Darnold has always had trouble with turnovers. In college at USC, he turned the ball over 36 times in just 27 games. In his first 5 NFL seasons with the Jets and Panthers, he threw 55 interceptions over 55 starts. So it's clear, when Darnold can avoid turnovers, like he did in those first few weeks for Minnesota, the team wins. That's a big part of why they're 7-2 now. But in these last 2 games against the Colts and Jaguars, he started to slip again. What's interesting is how the Jaguars defended the Vikings offense. Alec Lewis at The Athletic pointed out that the Jaguars used a higher percentage of 2 safety coverage against the Vikings pass plays than any team has used in a game since 2018, 93% of the time. They also blitzed at one of the lowest rates this season. Basically, they were saying, we'll let someone beat us, but it's not going to be Justin Jefferson. And it worked. Jefferson ended up with only 5 catches for 48 yards. Not bad, but for someone of his talent, it's well below his usual numbers. So the question now is, how do the Vikings adjust going forward? It kind of reminds me of Revis Island, where Bill Belichick and the Patriots defense would place Darrelle Revis on an island against the opponent's top wide receiver and then focus their game plan on shutting down the second receiver. For the Vikings offense, it's not just about Sam Darnold or Aaron Jones' health, it's about the incredible amount of versatile talent they have. You've got Darnold, Aaron Jones, a solid running back duo, and of course, Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. But the missing piece this season has been TJ Hawkinson. In his second game back this season, he posted an impressive 85.5 PFF grade, ranking 3rd among all tight ends. He had 8 catches for 72 yards, with 6 of those catches moving the chains on key first downs. In fact, I think 4 of those came on the Vikings' opening drive. Hawkinson is a quarterback's best friend. If he played all 17 games this season, he'd be on pace for 90 catches and over 1,000 yards. Now, if teams like Jacksonville continue to try and guard the Vikings the same way, Hawkinson is going to make them pay. He adds a whole new dimension to this offense. All right, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for daily NFL content. Check out my Vikings channel in the comments section for more. Now, with 9 games in the books and the Vikings sitting at 7-2, I want to hear from you. What grade would you give this team at the midseason mark? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you soon. Peace.